to the Sacred Hoop. Within the circle, we are one heart, one mind, and one people. Welcome to the circle, where everyone has a seat at the table. Please check out our website, gatheringattribes.org, our YouTube, LDS Gathering of Tribes, our Facebook, LDS Gathering of Tribes, and our Instagram, The Gathering of Tribes. Please like, subscribe, and share. The stories and views shared in the Sacred Hoop are personal and do not represent the official teachings or positions of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We speak from our own experiences, testimonies, hearts, honoring both our faith and our culture. Here is the circle of our host, and my name is Cindy, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'll turn it over to you, Gavriel.
Yes, my name is Gavriel Wise. I am Ojibwe. I was born in Minnesota and have moved when I was pretty young here to Utah, and so I live in Ogden, Utah right now.
Thank you. Robert?
My name is Robert Hall, and I live in Orem, Utah.
Hello, I'm Rufus. I go by Brown Monk. I'm here in Utah.
And Sergio.
Hishe. My name is Sergio Roscoe. I am an Ashiwi man from New Mexico, and I actually living in Utah.
All right, welcome everyone. This is our first episode. We're excited to be here and to invite you into our circle. And our first episode is called The Great Circle of Light. And I'd like to turn the time over to Brown.
All right. welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. This is our first, guys. And so this is something that we've been talking about and looking forward to. But one thing that I wanted to discuss, to kick it off, right, is the circle itself and kind of the meaning and the symbolism and why that is actually part of, the name of our podcast. And so if we can go around and then, I would like to hear from each of you, kind of like what your take is or what some of your feelings are on, on the circle and its symbolism, whether culturally and spiritually, preferably both, if you can do that. So whoever would like to start off.
Yeah, I can start off with that. The circle, I think, to me, just represents infinity. It represents eternity in a way. There's no beginning, no end. And so I really do feel like that symbol can symbolize God and the way that he speaks of himself as the beginning and the end of all things. I think also and that's the first part, and the second part for me is that the circle represents the cyclical nature, I think, of creation and specifically of our journey. We start off in the presence of our Father. We go pass through a course, and then the goal is to return to our Father. And so I think if you were to really search yourself and the purpose of life and all of creation, you would see that circle everywhere you look.
How about you, Robert?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I was thinking earlier about like how God in the book of Moses, he says his name is endless. That's one of his names. Right. And like we all kind of put up this navel or this circle here. And I sometimes think like that well, I just think of it as like a navel. Sergio, what about you?
Well, not just in terms of the gospel of Jesus Christ, but from the perspective of the indigenous knowledge and ancestral revelation that our parents receive, the circle is not more but the representation of what the cycle of man is in this earth in relation with Mother Earth, connecting with the universe, and being able to understand the divine nature of the Creator. In our beliefs, the sacred hoop, the circle, is the outer boundaries of this earth that connects the temporal with the spiritual, connects the things that perish with the ones that last forever. And that's the reason why it is called the Sundance Circle or the sacred hoop. And what does the circle does? It maintains us together in connection with the great creator in order we could be able to understand how much reverence, respect we dedicate to the creator in order we could be able to gain balance and harmony in our lives. And therefore, this is the path that man follows in this earth. The path that we follow is moving forward, looking up to the sky in order we could be able to be connected. In my mythology as Sunni people, we believe that we are the people of the stars. So we need to be connected with the stars that will allow us to find the right direction to go through the loop or the hoop of this earth and be connected with the universe. And this is the purpose of our lives. Be in this life, go through different stages as the hoop shows, different directions, different stages in our life from childhoodness, teenage, mature age, and elderly. And as you guys have been mentioned, this is an eternal round, something that has no end. The Creator has no end, and therefore our nature as human beings is eternal.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I feel like I think the importance of us calling this a sacred hoop too is to let everyone know that we're all equal. You know, we all matter in God's kingdom. No one is above one another. And so that's, for me, that's what the importance of us meeting together in a circle. So as like Indigenous people, the circle is very powerful in our community, especially when you have ceremonies or you go to a powwow or have a prayer circle. There's power in that circle, and it gives us a time to reflect on how our Creator sees us. So that's how I connect to the circle. Also, in my tribe, in the Cree tribe, we have the medicine wheel and the 4 directions, and so it's about balancing your life. And we need, in order for us to be happy in this life, we need to learn how to balance all those aspects in our life, or at least learn from those different directions. And in my culture, it also means like the things that we need to survive, right? Air, earth, water, and fire.
Right.
And we need those things. So it's like we need to be in touch with our emotional, spiritual, physical, mental health in order to balance and find happiness in this life. And it's a lifelong process. I know when I'm off balance, I might be leaning more towards, physical or not physical or whatever. And so I have to like figure out what direction I'm in and figure out where I need to find a balance in my life. So yeah, that's what the circle represents to me.
I love that. I love the idea of balance and being associated, because when you think of balance, you don't always think of a circle, but when you think of maybe even like the orbit of the planets and how they all move in a circle around each other, that gravitational field, or those poles, or the poles themselves, and um yeah, balance is absolutely associated with the circle and with the hoop too, which, yeah, I hadn't thought about that really before until you started saying that, Cindy. And so, yeah, I appreciate that visual, just in my mind, that visual connection, that, yeah, you can be sent off orbit sometimes. You can be thrown off balance. But yeah, that circle kind of remains as that reminder. So that's cool.
It's like at every level, because like the atoms,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Uh-huh.
the universe,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Yeah.
then we move with that. We move with it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the perfect, like basically the perfect order of things, the way that things have always been and always will be. That has always been in motion. Um and I think when you realize that creation and all things that have always been, that eternal, that perspective of eternity, I think sometimes that's how we are distinguished from maybe of other faiths and religions, is we don't believe in the beginning of something, and then create it out of nothing, that ex nihilo concept, where there was a starting point to really anything. It's always been in motion. And so when we acknowledge that we ourselves are a part of that, that momentum has always existed within us. I think maybe you can even think of that as a reason to keep going, because like you've been in motion. You the energy and the matter that makes who you are, you've been in motion. And so keep going. Stay in that balance, stay in that order, stay in that orbit.
Can I read a scripture?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
This is in the DNC. I'd pull it up, but I'm just pulling it off the cuff. DNC 85, 80, 88, 45. I love this imagery. The earth rolls upon her wings, and the sun giveth his light by day, and the moon giveth her light by night, and the stars also give their light as they roll upon their wings in their glory in the midst of the power of God. I've always loved that imagery
Uh,
there. Kind of
mhm.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I like that. That's how we start, right? Like that's how we come to an existence, is through that cell, right, Brown?
Mm.
Spark, yeah. That glory, right?
Yeah, that's how we come into this world. And so we continue to remember that through all that we do. and that's important that we like, that's the reason why we're meeting here and having this podcast, is because we want to invite people to come and be a part of that, and realizing the importance they are in the circle, and that we need them all. So.
Yeah, if there's a lot that can go wrong with a person if they exclude themselves or think that they are exempt from God's plan. Um, God's plan includes every one of his children. And so, um, when someone takes themselves out of that circle, then that's where those feelings of maybe being lost, being I think the sense of belonging is kind of not there. Maybe there's there's a greater purpose that is lost too, like something that's bigger, or something that's bigger than yourself. I think what I'm trying to say is if you take the opposite of those things, when someone does find what they've been looking for their whole life. A lot of people, once they've found the restored gospel, they will describe it as, "Oh, I feel like I found my place. I feel like I've found where I belong. I feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself. Um, I feel connected to something." Those are all real feelings, and that is tied to, Cindy, what you're talking about. We especially with the initiative of just the gathering of tribes of this podcast is a branch of that. It's all kind of towards one goal of creating or reminding everyone rather that they are a part of that. They've always have been. They've always been a part of God's circle. So
Yes, that's true. Right, Monk? What do you have to say?
Mhm. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody's words, and I agree with everyone. And the circle, to me, is very important and very powerful symbolism to me. And one of the things that really threw me back, as far as how powerful the circle is when I was when the spirit told me that that is one, that is to be one, is to be this, the circle, right?
mhm.
And it's so simple. It's such a simple shape, and it's an eternal round, like you guys had mentioned. There's no beginning and no end. And so it was taught to me in this way. And so in the beginning, there was there's a man and a woman, right? And when they join together in holy matrimony, right? What happens is when they decide to have a child, the man is represented by the seed and the woman is represented by the egg. And what happens is the baby does not develop in the man, it develops in the woman. So the the representative of the man, the seed, has to leave home. And so what happens is this is where the man leave, therefore shall a man leave home and shall cleave to his wife, the egg, and they twain shall make one flesh. Circle,
Mm,
the baby, right? And so that circle in the heavens, in the holiest, is Jesus, the only begotten of the Father. But the thing is that we were created in his likeness. So each of us go through this process too in our mother's womb, right?
mm,
All right. So one side is dad and one side is mom. And when mom and dad come together, they create you. And when you become one, you are sealing your family together again. Okay.
mm,
And you're honoring mother and father by bringing everything together as one again. And so to be one is to take us back to that purest part of our creation when we didn't have no voice, we didn't have no mouth or hands or arms or whatever. We were this, just a single circle, right? And we
mm,
were in our purity. And so it is important for us to get to that moment, to bring ourselves back to that moment of this purity. Just like it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. One eternal round, no end. So what happens is when the man leaves home and cleaves to the wife and they become one flesh, there's actually a spark of light. And I've talked to you guys, several of you guys about it. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So give me a second. I'm going to share this image. So this is the moment of fertilization, and they were able to catch it on camera. And you can find it on YouTube and TikTok, online everywhere. But this is what it looks like at the moment of fertilization. It'll replay it again. So this is the egg, and that's when the two come together as one.
Wow.
They call it a zinc spark, but this is the light that the darkness of the womb could not comprehend.
Mm.
You know, and this is the part where God said, "Let there be light," and that
As-
light is the glory of God and the intelligence of God. There's actually a saying that's actually written in one of the old LDS tabernacles downtown chapels, and it says the glory of God is intelligence. So this is the intelligence or the light, and we're all part of the light. It came from this original light source, you know, which is our Father in heaven. And so when he tells us to, or when he tells me to be as a child, you know, yeah, I look at the little kids, you know, like the little toddlers and newborns, and, you know, they're very, you know, they're blameless and pure. But I take it further back than that to the moment of this, to be one, to be pure, just as our Father in heaven is perfect, because the circle is perfect. And I think that's why people tell other people, hey, stop acting like a square, you know, right?
Act like a circle. Don't be a square.
Yeah, don't be a square, man. Be a circle. You know what I mean? Be full circle.
Monk, I've heard you describe this a few times, and it just hit me for the first time. You're talking about like the union, right? That union of the mother and father and becoming
Yeah.
one under that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So
The other-
father, mother here, and then what happens is, then we can talk about it because there's so much more in the development that has to do with our chronological timeline of all the events that are happening on Earth. You know, because a lot of the writings in the scriptures and stuff talk about within here. Like when Jesus was talking to the lady at the well, and she was like, "You have to go to the mountain, you know, Jerusalem, and worship." He was like, "No, we know what we worship, and you know now, and you know from here on out, wherever you're at, you can worship in spirit and truth in here within." And so I remember somebody had asked me, "Well, how do I get in here?" And I said, "Well, you can get in there. Jesus told us how." And I believe it's Matthew chapter 6, verse 22, and he talks about the eye, the mind's eye, being able to envision this altar within, you know, within the body and stuff. But that's later on in the development. But right now, I just wanted to talk about the very beginning of this and how each of us are children of light and how powerful that is, you know, and that light is our eternal Father, you know, the eternal, the only begotten.
It's also a time where it's like so close to the veil often, right? That time. The veil can be, at least in my own experience, without like the veil is so thin when I had my children. I felt that oneness when my eldest was born. It was actually a very sacred experience.
It is. See,
Yeah.
when the children are, so, you know, because we all have children here. So when the baby's like this, right, in the mother's womb, the baby doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have hands. The hands haven't developed. You know what I mean? Nothing's developed. Just this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's light, right?
Yeah.
And so it is relying 100% on mom and dad for its nourishment to help it grow and blossom and turn into a strong, healthy baby, right? And so the father, when he says to be like a child and to be one, so that you are 100%, no hands, no nothing else, but 100% giving everything and trust and dependence on a loving Father in heaven to take care of us. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to take yourself to that moment of purity and be perfect, a round circle, perfect. just like our Father in heaven.
And trust
Yeah.
him, right? Yeah. I like it when you showed that video to Robert's boys, because they were super fascinated about seeing the light. Like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah,
At one
there they were.
time.
Mhm.
They were super excited, and I loved seeing that, just the brightness in their eyes when they realized, how they started. So,
Yeah. And yeah, they were very excited to know that they're associated with this light. And we too, the ones that are older, we should never forget, that we also have the light, that we too, no matter how old we get here, we are always children, and things
Yeah.
like that.
No,
So,
that's an important reminder. I wonder now on how, if someone's watching this episode, um, what can they take away from this? What can they, this doctrine, or I guess the science of being created in a little burst of light, and the power of the unifying force of that reproductive process that reflects and mirrors the eternal processes of God. Um, so what's that significance to an average, young parent, or just a person passing through college right now, or however old you may be? All of your kids are grown up and out of the house, but what I wonder now, if we might be able to discuss on like what that means for everybody. What can they take away from that?
Sergio, can I prompt you, because I have a thought that you've said, like, I think it was you who said this off stage, that like we're kind of, or maybe it was you, Monk, I don't remember, but it's like we're kind of going through this birthing right now, this pains of labor right now in the world, with how intense things are getting, super intense out there. I don't remember. Did somebody say something about that? Am I making this up?
no, I
I
did.
think you're making up.
No, I did. I did say that, because in in Revelation it talks about like birthing pains and stuff like that, in the scriptures and stuff. But this, our timeline and everything that's taking place runs concurrent, or exactly similar to the pregnancy, like from the beginning of fertilization, which we watch, right, with the spark of light. And as the baby starts to develop and goes through all 3 trimesters, all the different things that happen within that creation, within the cell, is symbolic of our timeline here on earth and everything that happens. And it tells the story in full, from where we came from in the beginning, all the way to what's going to happen even after, into the resurrection, And so it tells it in great detail when you actually look at the development of the baby, and how that one single circle, remember, there was nothing in there at first. Remember, the world was void. It was formless, right? But then God said, let there be light, right? And then he drew a circle in the great depths of compass, right?
Yeah, it's like in I've heard this. I'm gonna get a little wonky for a second here. I've heard this idea in Jungian psychology about creation and cosmology, and how in birth and in the formation of like, in the formation, in like, out of chaos comes new life, right? And I think we're in a very auspicious time. We're in a very kind of, unless you're just totally not paying attention, which I think some people are not, but I think that everyone's feeling it, that we're in a time that's very difficult. And I think Cindy has kind of said this, that we want to help people maybe feel safer and feel like there's goodness, right? I'm having a hard time connecting that to what we're saying, but I feel like it's related. Maybe Gavriel or Sergio or somebody could help me out.
So, as you mentioning safety,
Yeah,
people has the need to feel safe.
yeah,
While we are within the circle, I will say that there is no other place where we can feel safe. Why?
right.
Because of the nature of the circle, right? We're not lining up that we are a person facing forward and then giving back to the one behind,
Yeah.
but we
All
are
facing each
shoulder
other.
to shoulder in the circle, face to
Hmm.
face. And
Yeah.
at that level, all of us can feel that safety because we know, number one, that we're not strangers, that we belong to the same nature of the circle. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, that we are shoulder to shoulder. We are at the same level, and at any moment in which we need, we can lean either in the one who is next to me in the right or in the one who is next to me on the left. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
safe. In other words, if my knees are fainting, I have somebody stronger than me that is going to strengthen my feeble knees and keep me back on my feet. And that is what safety means. And that's what the Lord is giving us, the full assurance that is He's always there for us within the circle. As we allow Him
Yeah.
to be shoulder to shoulder with us. It's
Right.
like the Lord has said, right?
Yes.
Get draw near to me, and I will be drawing nearer to you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was trying to
And
say.
so, Sergio, I'll help hold you up if you need help. You can lean on me. It's all good.
I'll just kind of, after you said that, I formed my thought. It's like we are actually in a hopeful time, right? But people don't feel safe because they don't feel like they're in the circle, or they don't feel like
Right.
there's a belonging.
So we hope that everyone that's watching will realize that we welcome you in the circle. This is
Mhm.
why we've come together. This is why we've felt the Spirit bringing us together to talk about these things. And we hope that we can continue this conversation in the next episode and go more into depth. And we just want to thank you for joining the Sacred Hoop tonight with us, and we hope that we will see you in the next episode. So thank you, and until next time.